Hello and good day. Welcome to another episode of the Iconics webcast. Today, our topic will be on Web API. Presenting the topic today will be our team from Iconics APAC, consisting of Dr. Habib Rahman, Ms. Amanda Koh, Mr. Sutipong, and your host Indra. At any time of this webcast, should you have any questions for the team, please leave them in the chat and we will answer them as soon as we can. Without further ado, I would like to invite Dr. Habib for the opening. Dr. Habib, please.
Hi everyone, thank you for joining us today. Today's session is about Web API within Genesis 64, and we're going to learn about how we can use Web API within Genesis. Today, I've been assisted with Amanda, Sutipong, and Indra. And as you know, my name is Habib Rahman. I'm going to be giving you some introduction about Iconics. Iconic software has been widely accepted within several vertical industries: automotive, building, food, pharmaceutical, transportation, water, wastewater, and many of the other industries, including manufacturing and factory automation as well. Iconic's focus has been providing visualization to real-time data, providing dashboards, alarms, alarm management, data historian, providing these information to mobile devices, smart devices, deep advanced analysis, business intelligence, and providing the solution for the cloud connectivity as well. As you see from Iconic's suite, we have got Genesis 64, Hyperhistorian, Analytics, IoT Works, and the common layer on top is where we provide unified connectivity, and then the dashboard comes on the top as well. So all these modules work hand in hand in providing the unique experience. When we look into the product architecture, we have got information flowing as universal connectivity. We have BACnet, OPC, Modbus, MQTT, SNMP, databases, and web services. And that's our topic today: is how can we use web services within Genesis to get data from third party or to send data to third party as well. And as you see that in the platform services, we have got several services modules and some applications on top, and then the client technology and the client connectivity further up. Iconics has been using industrial standards throughout the product, including OPC UA, CC Link, or BACnet. BACnet Secure Connect is the latest one we have got, supporting for HTML5, Modbus, SQL servers, SNMP, JSON, and certainly the web API through REST connectivity. The connectors we provide as built-in within the product are Melco, Mitsubishi Electric Company Factory Automation, OPC UA, BACnet, databases, REST API, and then the third-party OPC servers, including Takabishi, Device Explorer, OPC server, or third-party OPC servers as well. When we look into the overall connectivity chart and the information flow, we have been traditionally connecting to PLC, DCS system, RTUs as operational data from machines and the plant floor data from field instruments. But with the growth of IT and applications on the IT side as well, a lot of customers are using third-party applications and they want to send data from those into the operational data, or the operational data needs to send data at the end of the shift, for example, how much production is being done, how much energy has been used, and many other information like machine OEE and downtime analysis for enterprise reporting. So this data has to be sent from plant floor operational side to IT as well. So Iconic is providing this bridging and exchange of information between operational data and the IT data. And the good thing is that once we have this data, it comes into this connectivity through platform services, we have got AssetWorks, which contextualize this data, normalize this data, and it becomes transparent how this is presented in with our process within the application as well, are presented to the clients through various technologies. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to invite Amanda to take the control now, and give us a little bit more insight about the open platform and scalability. Amanda, please take the control.
Thank you, Dr. Hapid. Hello, everyone. This is Amanda. So before we talk about the more detail about Web API, let's take a look at this slide. So you can see that Genesis 64 provides universal connectivity and to devices or systems using various protocols such as BACnet, Modbus, SNMP, OPC, DA, and UA, and also Mitsubishi Electric FA connector to MailSec devices. And lastly here, you can see that also have protocol that's supporting REST API.
So Amanda, give us a little bit about what is Web API and how it is useful and what is the REST part in it.
Yeah. So Web API, application programming interface, actually allows different application or system or service to communicate with each other over the internet. It is a set of defined rules, protocol, and tools that enable the data exchange between systems. So to understand this better, we can think of example like maybe Google Map API. So Google Map API allows developer to embed the Google Maps functionality directly into their website. So letting user to view the map, get directions, search location, this and that. Right? So within Iconic Genesis suite of products, Web API can be used as a server of the gateway for connecting to third-party components that uses REST API. So REST API is therefore representational state transfer API, and it is very useful due to its simplicity, scalability, and flexibility.
Yeah, that's good. So, let's put this into two parts. If we need to get data from third party, so how can we get data from third party?
Yeah. So getting data from third party, in Genesis, we have this service called Iconic Web API Services. Okay, and this service actually layers the REST API on top of our framework server, and it exposes the Point Manager API. So if developer wants to interact with Iconic application, or they want to access them through web-based interface, Iconic Web API system can utilize standard HTTP protocol, and we send requests and receive responses. So with this integration, external application can work with Iconic system for data exchange and automation system.
Okay, that's good. So, what can we send the data to third party as well?
Yes, we can, because we can act as a web REST server to send data to third party. So not just as a web client, not just getting data from third party into our Genesis, we can also send data out. For example, like if the customer has total production, energy consumption, alarm history, any OPC data that they want to send out, they can send out via this REST API.
And as a client, if we want to receive information from third party, like weather information or energy rates or those kind of things, so that is when Genesis works as a web client.
Yes. I'm going to show how to set up later on. It's not difficult.
Okay.
And but however, there are some scope of these services that, or rather, there are some understanding of the principles that we need to understand in order to implement this. So there are actually 6 key principles. So first one is client-server separation. So it's basically independent of each other. Client only needs to know the URL, and server only needs to provide the request data. So it's quite simple on this. And the second key is statelessness. So each request from client to the server must contain all information needed so that they can understand and process the request. However, the server also does not contain or store any client context between the requests. Third will be catchability. So the response from the server can be marked as catchable or non-catchable, so as to improve the performance on the client side. Uniform interface. So all API requests for the same resource should look the same, no matter where the request comes from. So this will simplify the decouple the architecture, so to allow each part to evolve independently. Layered system. So the client cannot tell whether it is connected directly to the end server or and intermittently along the way. So this will allow for scalability and flexibility. Lastly, which is optional, code on demand. So servers can extend functionality of a client by transferring the executable code. So over here you see there's this explanation. So REST API communicates through HTTP requests to perform standard database functions like reading, updating, and deleting. So GET request retrieve a record, or POST to request create a new record, or PUT a request updates a record, and lastly a delete, which is request to delete a record. Okay.
Yeah, so that's good one, Amanda. That these are the three, these are six principles of REST, and I think these terminology get, post, put, and delete are what we're going to configure in our system through Workbench. But one of the natural question comes in mind is that, is this client server connectivity secure, or is it possible for any client to connect to any server without knowing the security part of it,
Oh yes, it is secure. Let's take a look at these slides which mention about this. First, add the base URL with security certificate. And once added, we'll establish the connectivity to the API. But there's so many information from the API, we need to narrow down what is required. So that is done by using the web method. And instead of the whole API schema, we just need to verify what properties to load. And if we need to change or add value, then the web manipulator configuration will be required. And some web services require authentication object as a method to show two parties are securely connected. And that's where web authentication method is available in Iconics.
Okay, so how do we configure all these things into Workbench? And do we need to be a detailed coding and programming skills to have those kind of things, or how do we do that?
Oh no, you don't have to be a programmer or any skilled personnel. So with this Workbench, we have actually already built in under this data connectivity and web service provider. So you just need to do some setup by adding in, creating the services such as add REST API. Just click on the right, you'll see this pop up. And after you add the REST services, you have to know the URL address. So you just punch in the URL address and give a name for this connection, right? And next, we just need to add what kind of methods. So it's depending on what kind of method that you need, and also the authentication method. So you just simply right-click and choose. So let's say I just want to add a web method, and then I wanted to get the data from this National Weather Service to get hold of the current conditions. So you just choose the HTTP method get, and also put in the relative URL, and also just load the schema. It will automatically go to the URL of this national service and upload it. Right.
So this information is, so that means that now we are communicating with this web service, and
Yes.
we can see what items it supports,
Yes.
and what items we can get from that API. Okay,
Yes.
that's good. So it's easy to do that.
Yes. So after entering all those, and we want to make sure the connection is already connected, so we can use our Iconic Data Explorer app to be able to verify. So over here, this is already confirmed that my setup is connected to this web service from National Weather, and I can look at data that is being uploaded. I can see temperature, humidity, dew point, all coming from these web services. So it's confirmed that I'm getting the real-time value because it does have the timestamp that shows that it's what's the time it's receiving and whether its quality is good. Right.
And can we get this data into GraphWorks as well,
Of
somehow
course,
as
yes,
tags?
yes. So this is just the first step to verify, and next normally we will want to present it in a graph. So in our GraphWorks, we can create these things like, the built-in, we can use our GridWorks viewer to connect to these web services and get all the information like the station that we're getting from, timestamp, and temperature, humidity, dew point. At one glance, we can just grab the whole data out. And of course, if I want to individually put out the temperature or the humidity, I can just create a process point, and then the data will be showing. And this is exactly what is shown in the QuickBooks. So there is no difference.
That's great.
Yeah.
Now, that's easy. That's very easy to get data as a client from
Yeah.
third-party web API server.
Yep.
Can we also show a little bit about if we need, as Genesis, if we need to publish some data and send some data from Genesis as a server to other systems, other applications as web API?
Yes. As mentioned earlier on, so Genesis 64, right, we have this API REST interface that we can expose some REST endpoint that allows our access to different part of our framework server data. So over here, we do have this example that everyone can try. Example of this to connect to our framework server to get the data. For example, this simulation data coming from our Genesis is a sine double, and so you just need to go to this website, and then over here I've actually connected. So this is my PC name and this is my point name, and it will pull out immediately from my frameworks to show me the real-time data, the value coming from the frameworks. So it means that the data is coming from the iconic web services, the web API REST services.
So what do we need to configure on Genesis side to start with?
Yeah, so there are certain requirements that you need to set up also. Before that, so you can go to this REST API reference to understand these details. So the requirement to set up this as a REST server, first of all, we need to start the iconic OData connector point manager. So we do have this point manager that's available once you install the Genesis, right? So you can start it. So you have to start it in order to make this work and define the user security for a third party to access our Genesis server. And then you need to allow limit the information access by setting up some security. I mean, we do not want to, allow everything to be being accessible, so we do have to do some security setup. And the recommendation is to use HTTPS for connectivity. Yeah, so these are the 4 items that I need to be aware of.
Okay, so basically we can decide which data and how much data we want to expose as REST API to third party, and we can put the security and we can put password and some other security measures. Thank you very much, Amanda. I think this builds up a quite good introduction. Let's request Sudhipong to give us a little bit of demo on both sides.
Okay, welcome, Sudhipong. Okay.
This video will show you how to consume the web service by Genesis 64. In this example, I will consume the data from Electricity Grid API. As you can see, after enter to electricitymaps.com and access to the API, there is the free plan here to test. Click on Get Start, and you will log in with your Google account, and this is the example. In this example, there is the zone that you can select. I will use Australia. I will use the power breakdown. As you can see, this is the example code, and we can run it by click on Try It Now. And this is the data, the latest test data. I will consume this data by Genesis 64. Copy this code, this URL, and then enter to Workbench. At the workbench, I have created the folder under web service here. Right click on web service and create new folder. Name the folder as webinar, for example, and right click on webinar, add REST service. Give it a name and the best URL that you have copied from the code. And hit apply. Now right click on AU elect and select add web method. We will read the data from the example. In this case it is power breakdown. I will name it as the power breakdown and put the URL. As you can see, it is the header authentication token here. Copy this name, get back to workbench and add the parameter tab. Add the new parameter by clicking here to add new item and paste the name and copy the token value here. Paste into the value and change kind to HTTP header. Now connecting to the internet network and get back to general setting. Click on load schema. Okay, now you can read data. As you can see, this is the schema from the result. Hit apply. We can test the result by open the data explorer. Under my computer, data connectivity, web service, webinar. As you can see, this is AU elect and the power breakdown that we have created. This is the web method. Expand power breakdown, consumption breakdown, and this is the data production information. You can see the definition. For example, for power breakdown, the power production in megawatt. Every value is in megawatt. And if you want to use this value in GraphWorks or any module of Genesis 64, you can do that. I will open the GraphWorks 64 and go to data browser. Under my computer, data connectivity, web service, webinar, AU elect. You can choose what parameter tags that you want. For example, power consumption breakdown. I would like to use the solar production. You can use Genesis 64 as the REST server to distribute data to third-party application or third-party platform. Framework server in Genesis 64 can distribute data via the OData connector to the client. In this case, the client is the third-party platform. I have started OData connector point manager service that is manual by default. You can change it to automatic start or automatic delay start. You can specify the security user or group. We can prevent the default group user to read and write data. I have enabled the HTTPS for more secure to encrypt data between client and server. OData connector REST real-time to specify real-time data that we want, followed by point name. As you can see, there will be login page. You can specify tag name. In this case, I will getting data from 3 tags. The first one is tag 1. The second one is random 1. The third is random 2. And this is the value of tag 1. This is the value of random 1 and the value of random 2. If we refresh, data will be updated. You can also connecting to any data source from Genesis 64. For example, I have the asset tag in the workbench here. As you can see, this is the level equipment property of my pump house 1 in the asset. I can monitor via the REST server. This is the value. If I change the value in the asset tag, it will be updated corresponding to the latest value. And you can call this REST API server with another Genesis 64 as well by create a connection under the web service. As you can see, I have created OData folder and create REST connection here and the web method. This is the web method that I call. As you can see, I can specify the point name here, and you can use the parameter instead. And with the security, you can specify the authentication that you have created in Iconic Security. And this is the testing via Data Explorer.
Thank you, Kun Sitipong. We have now come to the end of this webcast. Should you still have questions for the team, please leave them in the chat and we will get back to you as soon as we can. In the meantime, please stay tuned for our next webcast. This recording can also be viewed on demand for all registrants. On behalf of the Iconics APAC team, we would like to wish everyone a pleasant day.